Is Reebok really about to walk away from Angel Reese? Just months ago, she was the face of their boldest WNBA campaign, but now her name is surrounded by controversy, fans are turning on her, and her biggest rival, Clark, is stealing the spotlight. Behind closed doors, sponsorship insiders are whispering that Reese's deal might not survive the summer, and the reasons will shock you. From sudden marketing silence to brutal sales comparisons, what's happening right now could change her career forever. Public opinion can change overnight, and for Angel Reese, it's been a brutal turnaround. Just months ago, her confidence and trash talk were celebrated as the fire women's basketball needed. Now, that same energy is being labeled as arrogance, especially after a string of incidents on and off the court. Whether it's in post-game interviews, subtle digs on social media, or heated in-game moments, fans are starting to question if the Bayou Barbie persona is costing her credibility. Once social media turns, it's hard to win it back. Clips are circulating, fans are dissecting every word she says, and the narrative is shifting from competitive spirit to self-inflicted damage. For a brand like Reebok, whose investment depends on public goodwill, seeing this level of online negativity is the first warning sign. And it's not just trolls, longtime supporters are admitting they've lost patience. Reebok hasn't made any public statements about Angel Reese lately, and in marketing, silence can be deafening. Her campaign, once blasted across their socials and homepage, is now buried. The promotional push has slowed, new ads have been delayed, and fan giveaways tied to her name have quietly disappeared. These aren't accidents, they're strategic moves that usually happen when a brand is reconsidering its partnership. For athletes, visibility is everything. Without fresh content from Reebok highlighting her as their face of the WNBA, Reese's reach is shrinking. Meanwhile, other Reebok ambassadors are still getting consistent spotlight time. The quiet shift is subtle, but industry insiders recognize it. When the budget stops flowing toward you, the countdown to separation has already begun. While Reese battles public perception, Clark is experiencing the exact opposite. Her calm, composed image combined with on-court dominance has made her a marketer's dream. Every endorsement she touches, from Nike to Gatorade, turns into a talking point, and she manages to avoid messy headlines entirely. For brands, that's the ultimate low-risk, high-reward equation. The contrast between Clark and Reese couldn't be sharper. While Reese is fighting narratives, Clark is letting the scoreboard and her endorsements do the talking. That's not to say Clark hasn't faced criticism, she has, but she handles it without feeding the fire. This dynamic is quietly influencing where companies want to spend their dollars, and Reebok can see the writing on the wall. The turning point may have been a recent televised game where Reese's performance collapsed under pressure. Missed shots, visible frustration, and awkward post-game answers turned into meme material within hours. What was supposed to be a routine game became a PR nightmare, amplified by her detractors, and fueled by her social media responses afterward. Reebok didn't comment, but they didn't defend her either. That absence speaks volumes. Brands know when to weather a storm and when to quietly step aside. And in Reese's case, the decision seems to be leaning toward the latter. Once the viral moment became a cautionary tale in sports marketing circles, her future with the company became a lot less secure. Big sponsorship deals aren't just about wearing a logo, they're about representing a brand's values. Contracts often include performance clauses, behavior clauses, and vague morals clauses that give companies an escape route if an athlete becomes a liability. While these clauses rarely make headlines, they've been used to end deals with athletes across every sport. For Reebok, the calculus is simple. If Reese's name brings more controversy than sales, the partnership loses its value. Add in the fact that another star, Clark, is dominating headlines for all the right reasons, and it becomes clear why boardroom conversations might be shifting. It's not personal, it's business. And in business, money always speaks louder than loyalty. Endorsements ultimately live and die by sales, and the numbers are telling a story. Early hype around Reese's merchandise brought in solid revenue, but recent reports suggest a slowdown. Meanwhile, Clark's merch is flying off shelves, with restocks selling out in hours. That kind of performance turns heads in corporate offices. If Reebok sees a trend where Reese's influence isn't translating into steady sales, they may choose to reallocate their marketing budget toward an athlete with more consistent traction. In a crowded endorsement market, even a few months of slipping numbers can be enough to trigger a strategic pivot, and given Clark's current trajectory, that pivot might already be in motion. When insiders start whispering, the public usually hears the echoes soon after. In recent weeks, sports marketing blogs and Twitter accounts have hinted at changes in Reese's contract status. Nothing official has been announced, but the consistent chatter suggests something is happening behind the scenes. Speculation ranges from a quiet contract renegotiation to an outright exit. Either move would send a strong signal about Reebok's confidence in her as a long-term ambassador. If the rumors are true, the next few weeks could reshape not only Reese's career, but also how future WNBA deals are structured. The future for Angel Reese hangs in the balance. If Reebok stays, it's likely with tighter terms and more oversight. If they walk away, Reese will have to prove her marketability all over again, without the boost of a major sneaker partner. Either way, this chapter is a wake-up call for athletes about the power of public perception in the business of sports. For Caitlin Clark, the situation only cements her standing as the league's most sponsor-friendly star. If Reebok does make a change, she could even be in line to fill the gap. Whether that happens or not, the message is clear. In the endorsement game, talent matters, but image might matter even more. This isn't just about Angel Reese and Reebok. It's a snapshot of how quickly the sports marketing world can turn, especially in the social media age where every highlight, every quote, and every sideline glance can be spun into a narrative. One month you're the face of a major brand campaign, the next you're watching your spot slip away to a rival who knows how to play the media game just a little bit better. The business of basketball is ruthless, and for players like Reese, the lesson is unfolding in real time. What happens next could serve as a blueprint for future athletes. If Reese manages to turn the tide and repair her public image, it'll be a masterclass in damage control. If not, her downfall will be a cautionary tale taught in sports marketing courses for years to come. Either way, the stakes are massive, and every fan, brand, and player in the WNBA is watching closely to see whether Angel Reese writes her own redemption arc or watches the spotlight move on without her. Not long ago, Angel Reese's social media mentions were filled with praise, memes celebrating her confidence, and fans proudly calling themselves part of the Bayou Barbie fanbase. But now, the tone has flipped almost overnight. Critical tweets, YouTube reaction videos, and Reddit threads are openly questioning her focus, work ethic, and attitude. Viral clips of her recent performances are being used as proof that the hype has outpaced her actual results. It's not just the usual trolls. Even longtime supporters are posting that they can't defend this anymore, a sign that the backlash is hitting a wider circle than ever before. When a fanbase turns, the damage goes deeper than hurt feelings. It impacts brand perception. Companies like Reebok track online sentiment closely, and when negativity outweighs positivity, it signals risk. This kind of reputational slide can spiral quickly in the social media age, where one bad moment becomes the defining narrative. The more fans pile on, the more other fans feel comfortable joining in, creating a snowball effect. For Reese, reversing that momentum will take more than a good game. It will take a genuine shift in public perception, and that doesn't happen overnight. If Angel Reese's Instagram feed and Twitter timeline used to be all bold statements and high-energy self-promotion, lately they've been quiet. No new collaborations teased, fewer behind-the-scenes glimpses, and a noticeable absence of direct responses to critics. For an athlete who built part of her brand on engaging, sometimes even sparring, with fans online, the sudden restraint is glaring. Some interpret it as maturity, others as a PR move, and a growing number see it as a sign she's retreating under pressure. For Reebok, this silence cuts both ways. On one hand, it lowers the risk of another headline-making quote that could hurt the brand. On the other, it removes one of the key selling points of signing Reese in the first place, her ability to keep herself and the brand in constant conversation. Marketing thrives on relevance, and when an athlete goes quiet, it's harder to maintain that buzz. Whether this is a calculated pause or an unplanned slump, it's creating a vacuum that competitors, like Caitlin Clark, are more than happy to fill with their own wins and headlines. In professional sports, what happens behind closed doors often leaks out, especially when tension is brewing. Over the past month, small but telling rumors have surfaced suggesting that not everyone in Reese's locker room is thrilled with her media spotlight or her public approach. While no one has gone on record, anonymous sources hint at frustration over how her actions off the court are overshadowing the team's actual performance. In a league that prides itself on unity, even whispers of division can become a PR liability. These kinds of internal dynamics matter to sponsors. A brand wants to back an athlete who's seen as a leader and a positive influence inside their team, not a source of friction. If Reebok senses that Reese's image inside the WNBA isn't as strong as it is in commercials, they'll weigh that heavily in deciding her future with them. Locker room chemistry might seem irrelevant to sneaker sales, but in today's hyper-connected sports world, anything that impacts the narrative can influence a brand's willingness to invest. This wouldn't be the first time Reebok has cut ties with a high-profile athlete. Over the years, they've quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, ended partnerships with sports figures when public perception turned sour. Some were due to scandals, others to declining performance, and a few because the athlete no longer fit the brand's evolving image. While Reebok never makes a show of it, the pattern is clear. When an endorsement becomes a liability, they act fast. Looking at those past cases, the similarities to Reese's current situation are hard to ignore. A once hyped signing followed by a sharp drop in public enthusiasm, declining visibility in marketing, and whispers about internal dissatisfaction. These are classic precursors to a split. For anyone watching the endorsement game closely, history suggests Reebok isn't sentimental. If they believe Reese can't turn things around quickly, her deal could quietly be on the chopping block, just like so many before her.